Good evening, and welcome to this October 29th edition of Si's Eyes on the Skies. Hurricane Sandy is now a post-tropical cyclone, and it still lingers off the coast of New Jersey. Stay tuned as Si's Eyes with Zach Sharp with the National Forecast, Nathan Coy with our Iowa Forecast, and me as host, Zach Malak, will be bringing to you the Hurricane Storm updates. Stay tuned as Si's Eyes on the Skies starts now.
It's Monday night on ISU TV. Broadcasting live from Ames, Iowa, this is Si's Eyes on the Skies. ISU TV's longest running television show brings you the weather around the country, in Iowa, Ames, and beyond. The Iowa State Meteorology Department's team of forecasters keeps you ahead of the next weather system. Si's Eyes on the Skies starts now.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of Si's Eyes in the Skies. Like I mentioned in the intro, Hurricane Sandy is now a post-tropical cyclone. It still has all the major contents of a hurricane, but really it just has the less tropical side of it. The winds are still howling and there's a big blizzard on the other side of the storm. I'm joined here with our national forecaster, Zach Sharp, tonight as he will break down Sandy and what is going on. Zach?
It's been pretty impressive ever since it originally formed. Earlier, the lowest was 940 millibars, but now it's at 946, which is extremely low for the eastern coast. But right now, winds sustained are at, what was it, 94?
We have 85 miles per hour sustained winds. It was at 90 a little bit ago.
It was, and now the wind gusts are at 104 miles per hour.
So it is crazy over there. Some of the TV shows that you can see going on show pictures of, you know, it seems like it's minor flooding right now, but again, the high tide does not come in yet, and that is the biggest deal. That
tide is going to start rising around at 8:30. It's going to be at its peak. So when you combine the tide plus the storm surge, you can talk about major flooding, which they were talking about earlier, that the subways, they're worried about the subways, that if this tide rushes in, I'll break this down in a little bit, but everything could rush right into the bay and go down in those subways, and if it destroys those subways, you know, the transit could be down for a little bit. But it's something to watch. I know storm surge, when we started, before we came on the show, it was at 9.96 feet, so just a little bit under 10 feet, but that's rapidly rising, so it could be a little higher. It could be above 10 feet now.
And Sandy is increasing its speed anyways. It was down 15 this morning at like 11 a.m., and now it's at least about 28 miles per hour going in to make landfall. It has not made landfall yet, but it should make landfall within the next hour.
There's multiple times that the wind speeds flirted with a Category 2 storm, but it's still at a Category 1, and it's going to make landfall as a Category 1, and then eventually die out as a post-tropical depression. So,
well, sounds good. We're going to go over to Nathan Coy with our Iowa forecast right now. Might not get any Hurricane Sandy stuff going involved, but we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Nate, how you doing over in Iowa?
You know, very quiet weather we've had, thanks to Hurricane Sandy, because it pretty much has lulled our weather around. You know, it's just put a big stop on it, so we just had nothing but sunshine. Except this morning we had some clouds around, but, you know, this afternoon sun did break back out.
Will we see any of that wind from Hurricane Sandy, or is it still far away?
Not so much here. You know, winds will be pretty light for tomorrow and Wednesday. You know, I think the closest winds would get is Illinois, Wisconsin, especially around the Lake Michigan region. So we should miss out pretty much entirely, except for, like I said,
lucky
the quiet
us.
weather we've had. Yeah, lucky us, thankful. But,
yes,
you know,
very
prayers
thankful.
for all those on the East Coast. But
yes, as always.
For now, we should have a pretty nice day come up tomorrow, as we're going to take a look at our day planner. If we can pop that up on the screen. 7 a.m., we should have sunshine with a chilly temperature of 33 degrees. Come the noon hour, it will be a little chilly still with a temperature of 48. And then to round off your day at 4 p.m., it will have some sunshine still hanging around with a temperature of 53 degrees. So mid-50s tomorrow, and we should have sunshine for majority of the day, unlike today where we had clouds in the morning and sun in the afternoon. The sun should be around for most of the day.
The clouds did make it quite cold, and it was a little breezy out there.
It was,
last week was, and it's definitely not as bad as what's going on the East Coast.
No, nothing like that around here, thankfully.
Well, thank you, Nate. We'll see what's going on in your forecast. Well, that will take us to our first break, but stay tuned as Si's Eyes in the Skies continues next. Special hurricane development story here going on at Si's in the Skies. But right now, we will go over to Zach Sharp with our national weather, and he will break down what is going on the East Coast. Zach?
Thank you very much, Zach. I am Zach Sharp with your national forecasting. Look at current temps across the area right now. Seattle all the way up in the northwest corner is sitting at 57 degrees, 88 in Phoenix, pretty warm. And all the way out where that hurricane is sitting, New York is in at 63 degrees. Taking a look at highs this afternoon, St. Louis hit a wonderful high of 55 for this time of year. Phoenix was at a warm 88, and San Francisco at a cooler 69 degrees. Taking a look at tomorrow's high, you can see Phoenix will be around the same as today, around 90, with Seattle at the same as 57, about normal for this time of year, and 62 all the way out in New York for that hurricane. Now, tomorrow's forecast for around the region, you can see Lincoln, Nebraska is sitting in at 61, Hays, Kansas, at 69, and North Platte, Nebraska also at 68 degrees. So about normal for this time of year. Taking a look at clouds and radar, you can see most of the west is clear, but if we focus out to the east, you can see that hurricane. And if we zoom in here, you can see that it's really making landfall now. It's right on the coast. It could be making landfall within the next hour or so. But yes, this is snow over here, and that's something that we're watching. There is winter storm warnings out currently in West Virginia, as they're expecting 4 to 12 inches of snow, but otherwise pretty impressive rainfalls coming in on Futurecast. Some of the rainfall totals could be around 6 to 8 inches of rain. Taking a look at our hurricane tracker, it will make landfall sometime tonight. This hasn't updated, but it will make sometime in the next hour or so and work its way up into New York, and eventually the jet stream will suck it up and push it on out, and finally by Friday it will be moving out of the area. Taking a look at Futurecast, as you can see, that hurricane is off out into the east with mostly clear out in the west, and that hurricane will sit out there, and eventually by 7 o'clock it will still be there, and by Tuesday at 5 o'clock tomorrow night at dinner they can expect rain still. But the next weather maker is sort of off in the Seattle area, working its way eventually by late next week, maybe this weekend, bringing some rain to the metro. Otherwise, nothing really in the area. Taking a look at warnings, like I said, look at this west. This west has absolutely nothing. It's pretty boring due to this hurricane keeping everything backed up. Once you have a hurricane, it really keeps everything to the west of it on hold. So if we zoom in to some of these warnings, which it's very colorful, you can see that there is these hurricane warnings or tropical storm warnings, and then there's those winter storm warnings and even blizzard warnings, because it's going to be very windy, and that goes into effect until 3 a.m. on Wednesday. And up here in the northern east corner, there's a high wind warning expected with this hurricane. Otherwise, not much going else with those winds. And taking a look at Lewisburg, West Virginia, due to that snow, there's going to be a 100% chance of a freezing rain/snow mix with a temperature of 39 tomorrow. Wednesday, those rain showers stick around with a high of 43. On Thursday, the same is expected with those rain showers consisting through all the way through Friday as that hurricane's pushed out. But by the weekend, there is light at the end of the tunnel with a high of 50 on Saturday. And otherwise, the rest of the week is looking the same. Zach, back to you.
Yeah, Hurricane Sandy is definitely one of the biggest storms the East Coast has seen. And actually, the winds within this storm extend 175 miles. Think of it. It's like Des Moines in the middle is the center of the hurricane, and both east and west sides of the states can still feel that wind from the hurricane. That it's just weird and how big the storm is, but that because it is not a tropical storm and because it is a winter-type storm, and not a tropical hurricane, it does sprawl out and it is a lot bigger. But we will look at today's trivia question. Everyone has been waiting for it. In honor of Hurricane Sandy, how many hurricanes have made landfall in the state of New Jersey? Is it A, 0, B, 1, C, 2, or is it D, 3? Stay tuned to Size Eyes on the Skies as we continue this hurricane development and the answer to today's trivia question. Welcome back to Size Eyes in the Skies, and let's take a look at that trivia question again. How many hurricanes have made landfall in the state of New Jersey? Is it A, 0, B, 1, C, 2, or is it D, 3? And your answer is A, 0. It's kind of a trick question because Hurricane Sandy, now a post-tropical cyclone, will make landfall in the New Jersey area, making it the first time New Jersey has ever had a landfall, tropical storm, hurricane, or anything of that nature. Quite kind of new for the area, but the closest one was actually, let me look at this. The closest one was actually Storm Bella in 1976, which hit lower Manhattan in the Long Island area of New York. That was a Category 1 storm, and there were other Category 3 storms in that area, but none of them have ever hit the New Jersey area. But right now, we will go to our Iowa area where it is clear and no hurricane is hitting. at the moment. Let's go across the wall with Nathan Coy. Nate?
Thanks, Zach. That is exactly right. Nothing like that around here. Right now, outside our studios, we actually have sunshine, which we've had around for the afternoon with a temperature of 46. So it is a little cool out there with just a light wind out of the east-southeast at 8 miles an hour. We take a look at temperatures across our area right now. It's 46 degrees up in Fort Dodge, 43 over in Iowa Falls, and then 43 down towards Marshalltown. Taking a look, zooming out and taking a look across the state of Iowa, as you can see, we have warmer temperatures out towards the west, 53 degrees out there in Sioux City, and that will be the type of weather that heads our way for tomorrow. But Davenport right now is at 43, so they're experiencing some of the same weather we have been today. Current winds, like I said, not too strong, mainly out of the east, southeast, between 8 to 10 miles an hour. A little stronger up there in Mason City at 12 miles an hour. Taking a look at clouds and radar right now. There's a batch of clouds that was with us this morning that has kind of pushed east, but it's really stuck around towards eastern Iowa. And actually these clouds that you can see in far eastern Wisconsin and Illinois are actually associated with what was Hurricane Sandy, so really is an oppressive storm. So taking a look at your forecast for tonight, it is going to be a little on the cold side with a low of 32 with partly cloudy skies and just a light wind of 3 to 7 miles an hour. Tomorrow, we should have sunshine all day long, along with warmer temperatures with a high of 54, along with a light wind. And for all you youngsters out there, trick-or-treating is coming up on Wednesday. So we have a forecast for that. It starts at 5:30. And here's your temperatures at start time at 5:30, 54 degrees. An hour into it, we should have a temperature of 50. And then by the time you're said and done, it should be 46 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Here's your 7-day forecast. As I said earlier in the show, that hurricane has really made our weather kind of boring, as we like to say around here. We just have sunshine all the way through Saturday. And then come Sunday, we might have a couple of showers in our forecast, but nothing too major right now going on because we have to get that hurricane out of the way before we start getting some more active weather in our area.
So, I mean, it seems to be as if... Oh, let's look at this. There we go.
There we go.
So it seems to be as if, we're in the clear because of the hurricane in the east, right? Yeah. Well, like you said, you mentioned that the hurricane, you have the cloud cover in eastern Illinois and eastern Wisconsin, and I'm sure you heard of, because of the hurricane, because it's a low-pressure system, and low is typically a flow in a counterclockwise format, are bringing winds straight down Lake Michigan, causing winds like 8 feet. I'm sure you heard of this. All the lakes are...
Huron, Michigan, I mean, all the way to Lake Michigan down towards Chicago, Milwaukee. Lake Michigan's under storm warnings right now for waves maybe 10, 15 feet, which is just
They haven't heard of that.
long time.
I mean, when you think of a hurricane, you're like, well, Chicago's in the center of the United States. Whoever thinks it's going to have any impact near it? But the winds, I was looking at Lakeshore Drive today, some photos of the weather bug there, and the waves were absolutely, I felt like I was watching sitting on the coast of South Carolina or something.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
And the power outage radius of the possibility for power outages and extends all the way into central Wisconsin. So it's really a massive storm system that you're talking that it could possibly affect millions of, well, it's going to affect millions of people.
Yeah, it will.
But it's really uncommon for it to affect all the way, like you said, in Chicago or Wisconsin. You just don't think of that happening.
And it already, even besides the power outages, it already has affected the United States and globally with flight cancellations. There's been over 9,000 flight cancellations within the United States and globally. I'm sure.
And even, they said today, even Des Moines has flight cancels because, Des Moines got flights that go out east, and whatever's going to Washington, D.C., or up by New York, those are canceled.
It's really affecting mass transit, and especially if those tide rises and flooding and everything, it could affect the subways in New York, which would really mess things up. But it shut down the New York Stock Exchange, which was the last time that happened, not because of weather, it was 9/11. But due to the weather, it was back in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah, 80s.
Yeah.
Mid-80s.
But it's really uncommon for it to shut down, but they said it's going to stay shut down until Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be shut down too.
They were worrying about the jobs report coming out on Friday as if it really mattered. But, because LaGuardia, back to the flight delays, and because all this stuff, LaGuardia is located in the lower Manhattan area, and because, Manhattan and, what was it? Yeah, just Manhattan is off, and Long Island is, of course, an island in itself. The water between Manhattan and the actual central, or the actual mainland of New York is where all the water is going to build up. And when both water, with high tide, you have water going one way because that canal flows both directions
Yes.
in high tide and in normal circumstances. When they have that, the water's just going to build up.
Well, 'cause it's
and
slamming
just gonna
right into the
slam,
coast.
It's
Just pushing all
It's going
back
to build
up.
up both directions,
Yeah.
and it's going to hit both Lower Manhattan and both New York as a whole. So I'm sure
flood-
LaGuardia
yeah.
is going to get completely messed up for a while.
It's going to mess things up. But, then photos have been being released. But now you got to take photos with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because there are photos out there, the big tidal wave hitting the Statue of Liberty. That's
from the today or the day after tomorrow. Exact
And
photo,
They had
nothing
a picture
different.
of the supercell thunderstorm, I think it
Yeah,
was.
someone took a supercell from Nebraska and cut it out and put it in the background.
Well, actually, that was from a storm 2 years ago. That was actually in New York City.
Well,
but
that was that one.
they redid the photo
Yeah.
and just stood out there like as if I'm like, this system's a lot bigger of
Well,
a system.
but they
that you
did take a
can't-
supercell from Nebraska
Yeah,
and cut
and
it
they
out
cut
and
it out
put
and put it
in.
on
And then they
top.
also have the two-minute unknown shoulder. I can't even speak today. I need to go back to bed. I feel like I'm getting a cold.
Need some water?
Yeah. Felt like I wanted to cough. But yeah, people have been doctoring photos and have, so you gotta take
They
a
did
photo
take, in honor of that, they did take a photo this morning of the tomb of the unknown
did. They did
soldiers,
have
and
one
there
photo.
is, and there is people still
yeah,
out
they're
there.
still there.
They will always be out there.
Yes,
but they did
but-
throw another photo
Yeah,
on
which
top
is
of it.
just-
I mean, it was good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish it was completely true. If it was pouring and hailing and winds blowing, that would have been cool. Like to see like the honor and respect given
be.
for the country. I mean, that's exactly what's going on. And
Yeah.
There was
saw in yours, Washington is getting hit pretty hard
Well,
by the
and
rain.
then there was another warning I forgot to talk about when I was up on the wall there, but there is a warning in Louisville, Kentucky, that due to this rain or this wind, it derailed a hazardous chemical train
Yes.
and it derailed it. And so there's a shelter-in-place warning right now, and people are forced to stay indoors just due to this chemical hazardness. But on a different note, there was reports of a couple snow flurries in Ames today. So we're
Yeah,
talking
that-
cold temperatures in Ames that there is possibility for snow. But
Snow flurries and Ames.
No
and
time,
2 to
no
3
accumulation.
feet of
No,
snow
there-
in West Virginia. I mean,
There was when we woke up for 9 a.m. class. There was a few returns on the radar, but I'm having my doubts, unless for some reason a couple of that little moisture worked down. But
well, they're so sporadic that you don't know. But
well, there was a lot of light snow in the area, so.
But it is cold enough for this time of year. But no accumulation anytime soon.
no, we're in
Well,
the
like I
quiet.
said, Wednesday's forecast and Wednesday's group of Size Eyes will definitely have the hurricane going up north,
And
and
Twitter
you
and
will
Facebook.
find out what is going on. Join us on Twitter and Facebook if you have not, and add your videos at any time. Thanks again for joining us on this hurricane edition of Size Eyes in the Skies.
There we go. That was a good addition of Science Eyes in the Skies.